Good evening. The Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Board of Trustees is now convened in a regular meeting on Monday, February 11th, 2019, in the boardroom of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Instructional Support Center located at 10300 Jones Road, Houston, Texas at 6 p.m. I want to welcome the members of our audience and our television viewers to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Cypress-Fairbanks Board of Trustees, we're here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make the day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. And prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. Our meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by sections 551.071 through 551.084 of the Texas Government Code. These proceedings are airing live on CFTV Channel 16 and on CFTV online on the district website. They will also be rebroadcast throughout the month on Channel 16 and available as video on demand on the website. For the tape to adequately reflect our proceedings, I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking, and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. I want to thank you for your time tonight and joining us, and we have a full house tonight. We are thankful for your interest in the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. I would like to also take this opportunity to recognize our Community Leadership Committee members who are in attendance this evening, and they are Julie Heineman, Leslie Martone, Nancy Frankel. Would you all stand or wave? They're here. Yes. So happy. And we're very delighted to have Boy Scouts join us tonight from several troops, from Troop 573, PAC 156, Troop 1283, and they are in the persons of Christian Herrera, Daniel Herrera. Would you all stand, please? Lawson Bergeron, Troy Bergeron, Cooper Watley, Delvin Willis, and Christian Torres. Hopefully we've got everyone. Also, Chris Mai is also in the room tonight. Did he wave? Where's Chris? All right. All right. We're so glad to have you all tonight. Our invocation for tonight's meeting will be given by Reverend Tony McCollum, Senior Pastor of Cypress United Methodist Church. Cypress United Methodist Church has been in our community since 1959 and is a longtime school adoption partner with Adam Elementary. Their volunteers participate in our annual Bus Buddy program, mentor students, and read in our classrooms. They have been especially instrumental in providing support following natural disasters. Cypress United Methodist has also provided $8,000 to Adam Elementary to complete its running track. And they are incredibly generous each year in supplying the Adam Holiday Store with volunteers, gift wrapping, and donations. We appreciate your coming tonight, Reverend McCollum, and we thank you for all that Cypress United has done for the children in our district. Would you stand in just a minute? After that, our AFJROTC cadets will be presenting the colors this evening, and they are from the Cypress Ridge High School, and they are Cadet Colonel Dakota Dosterwood, Cadet Captain Benjamin Vu, Cadet Master Sergeant Desmond Porch, Cadet Staff Sergeant Yoselin Chavez. Our cadets this evening are under the direction of Lieutenant Colonel Haider Khan and Senior Master Sergeant James Corr. Hope I did some justice to your names. Let's all stand for the invocation and the pledge. Okay, we'll do the pledge first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the invocation. Pastor McCall.
Let us go to our God in prayer. Gracious and mighty God, Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the blessings of this day, for the blessings of this community, where we have amazing schools to help raise and encourage our families, to train up our youngs, to help them become the men and women that you have created them to be. Father, we are grateful for the blessings of this school district. We pray your safety upon all of our students, upon all of our teachers and administrators. We ask that we would be not only a great place for our students to grow into the men and women you've created them to be, but we would be a beacon to the world around what it means to raise young men and women. Father, we come this evening asking your blessing upon those who carry the mantle of leadership in our midst. May your spirit rest easily upon them. May you guide them and encourage them. We ask this day that the boys and the girls, the young men and women that are part of our schools, we ask that they would dare to dream dreams, that they might look into tomorrow, not with fear or anxiety, but with hope, with eyes of possibility, that they might see tomorrow as an opportunity for them to bless and encourage our world. Gracious and mighty God, we thank you for your many blessings. We ask you to hear our prayers, be among us. For these things we ask in your most holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. Board Member Dorsey Mengonia will read our vision and mission statement.
Our vision statement: learn, empower, achieve, dream, lead. Mission statement: maximize every student's potential through rigorous and relevant learning experiences, preparing students to be 21st century leaders.
Thank you. We'll now go to the recognitions portion of our agenda. And first, the board will recognize Perry Beard, Speech and Debate Director at Cypress-Fairbanks High School, for receiving his 4th Diamond Award for Excellence in Coaching from the National Speech and Debate Association. Ms. McGee.
Dr. Ogletree, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Henry, it is my pleasure to present to you a Cypress-Fairbanks High School teacher whose tireless efforts have earned him national distinction. Mr. Perry Beard recently received his 4th Diamond Award from the National Speech and Debate Association, or NSDA, for excellence in coaching. This is a rare accomplishment, as less than 0.5% of all debate teachers have ever achieved this level of recognition in the history of the organization, which was founded in 1925. To be named a Diamond Coach is a national designation that is bestowed upon select speech and debate teachers whose professional careers demonstrate dedication and achievement. The NSDA serves as the honor society for the activity, and as such, it tracks the success of high school programs across the country and awards points to students based on their participation and accomplishment. Diamond Awards are earned progressively by teachers based on their team's results and their commitment to speech and debate education over time. Very few ever reach the 4th Diamond level, as Mr. Beard has done, because this requires a coach to have students who have earned at least 100,000 points over a minimum of 20 years. Mr. Beard will be honored this summer in a national ceremony in Dallas for this outstanding feat. Mr. Beard's knowledge of his craft has resulted in his students winning countless trophies and titles. He has coached state and national champions. But beyond this, he is known for the tremendous amount of time he has dedicated to serving others. I do not know another debate teacher who volunteers as much as Mr. Beard to help run academic tournaments across CFISD, the greater Houston area, and in the state of Texas. He is somebody that new and veteran teachers alike rely upon to step up whenever assistance is needed. And I personally, as the district coordinator for UIL Academics, have often called upon his expertise in CFISD. So it was not surprising when, in addition to being conferred his 4th Diamond, the NSDA also recently recognized him with the Distinguished Service Gold Key for all that he has given back. I know that Mr. Beard does not seek out kudos, but it is my privilege to celebrate his work tonight. Perry, could you please come forward? I would like to invite any Cypress High School administrators, as well as any of Mr. Beard's family and friends that are here to celebrate with him, to please stand and join me in honoring his outstanding achievements. Perry, we are so appreciative of all you have given to Cyfair and your willingness to not only mentor your team, but to ensure educational opportunities are available to all speech and debate students. Thank you.
Phenomenal. You are a treasure to our district and to the students. We thank you for your service. The board will now recognize the campuses who earned the Superintendent's Incremental Growth Award based on star performance 2017 through 2018.
Good evening, Dr. Ogletree, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Henry. It is my honor this evening to present to you the recipients of the Superintendent's Incremental Growth Award. Dr. Henry established the Superintendent's Incremental Growth Award in the 2015 school year to acknowledge campuses making incremental growth in the economically disadvantaged and/or African American and/or Hispanic student groups in all content areas. These criteria are more rigorous than those used in the state accountability system. For example, in elementary school, to earn this award, they had to have exhibited growth in third grade reading, fourth grade reading, fifth grade reading, third grade math, fourth grade math, fifth grade math, fourth grade writing, and fifth grade science in all content areas and all grade levels. So you can see it's even more rigorous than what the state has for us. As I'm explaining each level of recognition, you will notice a common thread: increased performance in our economically disadvantaged students. Each level looks at the growth in one or more student groups. The Bronze Award is earned through growth in the economically disadvantaged student group. The Silver Award is earned through growth in the economically disadvantaged and African American or Hispanic groups. And the Gold Award is earned through growth in all three: the economically disadvantaged, the African American, and the Hispanic student groups. The selection criteria are based on the campus meeting one of the following: growth from previous year, or 90% or higher in both years. And new to the 17-18 school year, we included growth in the meets or master's performance. So let's honor our bronze level first. Our first honoree in the bronze level is Andre Elementary. Our principal, our principal, Laura Ann Novoskinski, is here. And in case a staff member is not standing yet, if you are a faculty or staff member of Andre Elementary, please stand so that we may recognize you. Our next honoree, Rennell Elementary, Principal Meredith Akers. This is Rennell's second time to earn the Superintendent's Incremental Growth Award. They earned the bronze level in 2015. If you are a faculty or staff member of Rennell Elementary, please stand so that we may recognize you. Hamilton Middle School, Principal Kim Sempe, bronze level. If you are a faculty or staff member of Hamilton Middle School, please stand so that we may recognize you. Cypress Springs High School, bronze level. Dr. Cheryl Henry wasn't able to join us, but Andrea Langard is here accepting on her behalf. Get this is Cypress Springs' third year to earn the Superintendent's Incremental Growth Award. They earned it in 2015 and 16. If you are a faculty or staff member of Cypress Springs High School, please stand so that we can recognize you. Let's give our bronze level schools one more round of applause. Now for our silver level honorees for the Superintendent's Incremental Growth Award. First is Reed Elementary. Principal Cesar Diaz is here to accept. This is Reed's second time to earn this award. They earned the bronze level in 2016. If you are a faculty or staff member of Reed Elementary, please stand so that we may recognize you. Thornton Middle School. Principal Reginald Mitchell is here to accept. They earned theirs for economic disadvantage and Hispanic. If you are a faculty or staff members of Thornton Middle School, please stand so that we may recognize you. Watkins Middle School. Principal is Jose Martinez, Hispanic and economically disadvantaged. If you are a faculty or staff member of Watkins Middle School, please stand so that we may recognize you. Cypress Ridge High School. Principal is Stephanie Michelle. They are theirs for economically disadvantaged and Hispanic. If you are a faculty or staff member of Cypress Ridge High School, please stand so that we can recognize you. And one more round of applause for our silver level campuses. And now our gold level. Remember, they had to show growth in all three areas. Our first honoree is Pope Elementary. The principal is Elizabeth Bradley. If you are a faculty or staff member of Pope Elementary, please stand so that we may recognize you. Gold level, Cypress Creek High School. Principal, Vicki Snookhouse. If you are a member of the Cypress Creek staff or faculty, please stand so that we may recognize you. Ooh, they have a whole slew over there. And then finally, Cypress Park High School. Principal is Chris Hecker. If you are a faculty or staff member of Cypress Park High School, please stand so that we can recognize you. Let's give one more round of applause to all of our gold level honorees. Congratulations to all of our Superintendent Incremental Growth Award winners. Thank you.
Hey, this is really an exciting night. Congratulations to all of you, and to have your teams here. Some of your teams here is just really says a lot about the progress in this district. And since this was the Superintendent's Award, how fitting it is now to hear from the Superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. Trustees, on February 7th, approximately 200 students and community members enjoyed various foods made by potential CFISD vendors at the annual food tasting event at the Berry Center. These vendors provided input on new products available for school lunches and breakfasts. Visitors toured the various booths in the conference center, then provided feedback on each item by filling out an evaluation sheet. The theme of the event was Power Up, Roundup. Dance teams from 12 CFISD high schools showcased their talents at the 2019 CFISD Dance Show-Offs on January 19th at the Berry Center. Each dance team performed 2 routines at the event, which kicked off with a performance by the all-district dance team. Dancers gave solo and ensemble performances. The community showcase featured approximately 700 participants district-wide. Hair Grove Elementary School was among 6 campuses across the state selected by the Texas Alliance of Black School Educators to serve as part of the Dr. J. Cummings Demonstration Schools Collaborative at the Alliance's 34th Annual State Conference set for February 20th through 24th in Galveston. The purpose of the collaborative is to bring together high-performing K-12 schools to share best practices. Campus administrators from the chosen schools will give a presentation during the collaborative about instructional strategies, systems, and practices. CFISD teamed up with the City of Houston Health Department C to Succeed program for a 3rd consecutive year, providing free comprehensive exams and eyewear to approximately 1,000 students from January 15th through the 18th at the Berry Center. CFISD collaborated with the with the program to provide lunch and transportation to the Berry Center for free eye exams and eyewear. The C to Succeed program partners include the Houston Health Department, Houston Health Foundation, University of Houston, San Jacinto College, Berkeley Eye Center, Kids Vision for Life, public and private schools, as well as community volunteers from across the Houston area. The Cypress Woods High School boys and girls swim teams claimed the District 18 6A championships for the third year in a row, while the Cy-Fair High School boys and girls teams swept the District 17 6A titles. With the meets held January 25th for 17 6A and January 26th, 18 6A at the CFISD Natatorium. If those 5 reports don't demonstrate opportunity for all, I don't know what could. We also recently selected a new principal, and I will turn it over to Roy Garcia for the introduction.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. President Ogletree and Board of Trustees, as you may recall, last month, Ms. Gina Guidry announced her retirement from the principal position at Sheridan Elementary School in Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. Tonight, we are honored to introduce our new principal for Sheridan, not only to you, but also to the CFISD community. And that new principal is Mrs. Renee McIntyre. Mrs. McIntyre received her Bachelor of Science in Education from Stephen F. Austin State University and her Master of Education in Administration from Sam Houston State University. Renee has 29 years of experience in the education profession, all in Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. She served as a teacher at Holbrook and Sheridan Elementary for a total of 5 years. During this time, she was selected as a Spotlight Teacher and as the Suburban Association for Bilingual Education Teacher of the Year. Renee also served as a math and science instructional specialist at Sheridan Elementary. She was then selected as an assistant principal, where she served for the past 10 years at Sheridan. In addition, Renee served as a summer school principal, as well as the Camp Summit summer school principal. When Renee is not working, she enjoys working in her garden and cooking. Renee and her husband, Graham, have 4 children. Megan, a teacher in Colorado, Will, who is working on his apprenticeship as an electrician, Emily, a freshman at the University of Houston, and Molly, a senior at Maid Creek High School. Please join me in congratulating Renee McIntyre on her new leadership opportunity.
Dr. Ogletree, the board, Dr. Henry, thank you so much for this opportunity. Like Roy said, I've been at Sheridan for a long time, over 20 years, but I've also had the pleasure of working with some amazing leaders. Carla Brosnahan and Will Cox, Gina Guidry, who came back today. And so I'm more than thrilled to continue that leadership at Sheridan. I want to introduce you to my family that's with me tonight. I have my dad with me and my stepmom. I have my daughter, Emily, that's attending U of H. I have my mom, and I have my husband who's always supported me, and I appreciate that a lot. And again, I want to thank you for allowing me to continue to serve the Sheridan community and this district as well. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. And we'll now take a 5-minute break. We're now at the board comment section of our agenda. Any board member may make a comment during this portion of the agenda without prior posting, and comments may not pertain to the character of any student, staff, or board member, and may not be discussed or deliberated upon at this meeting. And we'll start with Debbie.
Good evening. Since our last board meeting, I've made 3 campus visits. I've visited Thornton, Goodson, and Fraser, and You know, I know I tend to repeat myself, but every time I visit another campus, I'm just amazed at all the great things that are going on in our school district and all the different ways we deliver learning opportunities to our students. And I just want to commend our principals and our teachers and staff. You know, it's not just one person in the school making it successful. It takes the whole village, and these three schools, along with our others, are doing an amazing job. And then I also want to congratulate Denise Quebeca and her staff and our ag teachers on another great livestock show and sale. I was able to attend all of the different judgings this year and see our students in action. And if you're not familiar with the FFA program, I would really encourage you next year to attend at least one of our shows and see what's going on and how our students work together to help each other. I have a granddaughter who's at Cy Ranch High School, so I can speak to their group, but I was just wowed with the way the students work together with their animals. I know in our barn we have, 4 different students with animal projects, and I watch them work together to feed and help each other out when someone's sick or away on vacation. And then to see the student FFA members at the show itself. On Friday, the hog show ran a little longer than typical because the rabbit show ran a little bit longer that morning. But at 8:30 at night, the group was still there cheering on their fellow students. And I can't say that I saw that for other high schools, but Cy Ranch was cheering their classmates on, and it was just so refreshing to see in today's climate. I know one of the judges commented that he judged a lot of shows, but it was rare to see the type of parent participation and student participation that we have here in Cy-Fair. And I think our entire CTE staff is to be commended because I saw many of them out there doing things that they don't normally do. I saw someone scooping poop in the aisle, and I stopped and I looked and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, it has to be done." And I said, "Well, oh, it's that part on your job description that says in all other duties as assigned." But within our CTE department too, they all work so beautifully together and support each other, and just a great job and a great show. It's the 25th annual show, a lot to celebrate. 25 years ago, we combined all the high schools together, and Bob Singletary and the CTE and the district, what a great vision that was. And I'm old enough that I was back there way back when and even before, and to see how far our FFA program has come and developed is just tremendous. And kudos to all of you, and my thanks.
All right, thank you, Debbie. We are real proud of that, and I know you have someone very special that you're very proud of in that program, and congratulations in that regard. Tom?
Since the last board meeting, I made all of my typical stops. My school visits are all done in the fall. There may be some to repeat, including some of the stops I went to see to succeed, a tip of the hat for the district and the industry cooperative for that, College 101. The spelling bee at the Berry Center demonstrated tenacity and perseverance of our students. I'm not certain how some of our students lasted to the very last round. I know I was sitting down and I was already tired. But the night before was the Horizons Showcase, and that's perhaps one of my most fun evenings because I get to talk to the kids. And whether they were in 2nd grade or 10th grade or the 11th grader I spoke to, they were all eloquent in the demonstration of their creativity and their speech and their knowledge. And it made me proud that I was serving this district, but also thankful for our administrators and the teachers who came out to support our students. And there were 3 nights that week that we had administrators up at the Berry Center. So whether the Horizon kids are identifying in 2nd grade zebra foals and what makes them different, object recognition by computer software, health benefits of reading, enhancing confidence of females, making cultural puppets, and all the others. Of course, the livestock show, which is the largest of its type in America, featured all winners, whether you were in the freezer sale or as my colleague's granddaughter who steer was the grand champion. Project initiated, project competitively judged, and project completed. So I tip my hat tonight to our students who strove for excellence and are supported by our staff as guides along their journey. Again this year, the Salute to Our Heroes tribute and banquet was both moving in addition to raising scholarship dollars for our students and grant funding for our staff. The final mention is our JA Inspire. Augmented reality. I even brought props tonight. Augmented reality are apps contained in the handouts that the students received, demonstrated technology that was at work for their benefit. JA officials noted to me that of all the districts that they have worked with, this district is the most efficiently run, but also the most effective on behalf of the students. So how about a second tip of the hat for all of those who make JA Inspire a success? This project, as we all know, is the brainchild of Dr. Henry, and it was carried out by Dr. Macias and her team. This year, I was told JA Inspire will reach over 25,000 students. To borrow a phrase used by an academic facility, what starts here changes the educational landscape for many. That is results-driven leadership at its finest. So thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Bob? Don?
Christine, you don't have anything? Oh, well, okay. You look good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Even though you changed your hair.
I will tell you that I had the opportunity of representing Cypress-Fairbanks and the state of Texas as we went to Washington, D.C. To the Advocacy Institute. And what was brought to mind is that our plane landed at 8:30 and the shutdown was over at 9:30. So I'm just going to tell you that basically school board members make an impression. It was really, really great to learn a lot about what's going on at the legislature on the federal level. I had the opportunity to sit down with our new Congressman, Dan Crenshaw, who was very, very nice to visit with us, and he was kind of in between things, and so he'd ordered his own lunch, and the lady from Klein and I decided that we had lunch with him, whether he believed it or not. But we also got to visit with Mike, I just went blank on his name, McCall. And he's always so supportive of the Cy-Fair district. I didn't get a chance to meet Lizzie Fletcher, but I did talk to her lead legislative aide, who is a Fort Bend graduate. And so it's another proof that being from public schools is very important, and it paves the way. I will just say that I thought Texas was well represented. We had 64 people from across the state, and it was great to be able to be there. I will tell you that the Secretary of Education made a presentation, and I understand that now there is a new verbiage called education freedom, which is another word for vouchers. And it's not something that I'm enamored with, nor was anyone else in our situation. But she didn't allow Q&As, and I kind of understand why, because I'm quite sure facing the group that she was looking at, she didn't want questions, nor did she want to provide answers. But I will say that it was good to see public education standing together. Like Tom and Debbie, and I'm sure there were a lot of the other board members. I did get to go to the JA Inspire. I was there on the last day, and I got to walk around and talk to a couple of the students, and it's amazing to see how invigorated they are in the 8th grade, and a lot of them have an idea of what they want to do with their lives, which I look back at my 8th grade year, and I don't think I had a clue. So it's always interesting. It's great to see them walking around and actually asking really good questions. And so I really applaud Dr. Henry and Dr. Macias and the JA group, because they put on an excellent program for all of our 8,000 8th graders that were there over a 3-day period. Thanks.
Unfortunately, I was out of town last week and missed a couple of our meetings. My wife and I were at a math symposium in Las Vegas, and if you get a 10, a 4, and a 7, you're doing pretty good. Just tell you that right now. 10, a 4, and an 8, not so much. But I did want to address a couple things. One, it's so nice to have a cohesive board, and when you're looking at something like long-range planning, and I can watch the meeting online and know that my cohorts up here only have the best interests of students first in everything they do. And that has not always been the case since I've been on the board. So it's really nice when you're looking at a long-range plan, if you're looking at a bond package, to know that these men and women up here have the best interests of students and also the taxpayers. And so that was refreshing to watch. And I do want to thank Julie Heineman. She was in here earlier. I think she's out in the hall. I don't know. Where are you? Where are you, CJ? Hey, there you go. Great job by you. Y'all did a great job on the presentation. Stuart, everybody. It was awesome. And I really do appreciate all the time and effort that you guys put into this. And I think it's awesome that we have a community and a district and leadership that truly puts students first. And what I really love about it is that it doesn't matter where you live in our district, what area you're in, you're going to be impacted in a positive way. Your campus will be impacted, your children will be impacted, and I think that's amazing. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I wanted to just add a brief comment that I had to miss Thursday's meeting, and I was a little nervous about it because I knew that there would be a review of not only the boundaries, but the long-range planning committee's report with lots of questions by the board members. And it really is great that I can watch that and see it and feel like I'm prepared tonight and know exactly what happened on Thursday night. So if you miss a meeting and there's an issue that you're interested in, I want to encourage you to go to cfisd.net and find the link and watch a meeting and get the information you need to know exactly what's going on, because that's what I do, and it really is helpful. So thanks to David Dijon and all the team that works on those videos.
This is Black History Month. February is Black History Month, and I want to applaud all the schools that are supporting this month and supporting students. Our district says this opportunity for all, and this month it gives each school an opportunity to appreciate a history that is by and large not in our history books, and to also appreciate people who've been so much a part of the rich history of this country. And I just am happy with those programs that are happening at our schools and the recognition of this history. And just hope it will continue to spread and broaden throughout our district. I want to recognize, too, that we have another member, I hope she's still here, Stacy Anderson, part of our CLC. Is she here? Hello, thank you. She waved. And then we have some more scouts from Troop 573, Thong Tran, Thien Tran, and I can't really make out Theron. I think it may be Theron Tran. If you all are still here, would you stand, wave? Derek, glad you're. Thank you for being here tonight. We'll now go to the citizen participation portion of our agenda. Patrons who've duly registered per policy BED local may address the board regarding matters of concern and interest of the district other than the character of any student, staff, or board member. The board may not act upon any matter that is not listed under the action item portion of the agenda. The board will continue with the remaining agenda after the registered patrons have had an opportunity to speak. And tonight we had 10 sign up to speak. And those of you who were not able to get on this citizen participation portion of our agenda, you may submit what you wanted to speak about in writing, and we will address it. And so glad that you are here tonight and your interest in our district. Our first speaker tonight is Jennifer McCrea. Would you please come? And for all of our speakers, when you commence your expressions, the green light will come on, and then the yellow light will then light up when you have 30 seconds. When the red light appears, please conclude your comments. All right, Jennifer.
My name is Jennifer McCrea, and I live in Jersey Village. I have 2 children, a kindergartner and a first grader at Post Elementary. First off, I want to thank the board and the school for listening to the concerns of so many parents and taxpayers about the overcrowding at Post Elementary. However, I also urge you guys to continue to look at it. I know the proposed boundaries are there. Just to give you a little information of why, my husband and I have lived in Jersey Village for 8 years. When we moved in, we were told by many people that while Jersey Village is an amazing place to live, that we needed to understand that the schools were overcrowded, not just Post Elementary, but the feeder schools as well, Jersey Village High School and I believe it's Cook Middle School. We dismissed this as a situation that didn't apply to us because we didn't have children at the time. But last year, my daughter started kindergarten in a class of 26. She was in a class of 26 until January when a ninth kindergarten teacher was hired. And while my background in education was with high school students, I can tell you that the idea of being in a classroom with 25 5-year-olds is pretty much my biggest nightmare. I cannot imagine how tough that would be for her teacher and with no aides. You know, they don't have aides at our school, and I don't know that if in Cypher that's even a thing anymore, but that to me was a very concerning issue. This year, in my street, the 4 houses that surround me, there are 2 other families with children. One of them has a first grader and a 4th grader, and they are in private school because of the perceived success of Post Elementary. And then my neighbor across the street who had a kindergartner that was going to start this year with my son, and we were very excited about it. They made the decision to put their child in private school as well due to the overcrowding. When they took their visit last year and they toured the school, they were shocked at how many students there were and how large the classrooms were. And I understand that when you look at numbers on paper and things look normal, but it's also different when you're a parent or a taxpayer, and you're walking those halls and you see these open concept classrooms with 25 students in them, and it just doesn't look like those kids can be learning in the best manner. And this morning, I got a text this morning from a neighbor down the street from me. She and her husband have decided to put their house on the market, and I quote, I wrote this down from the text, "We don't want to keep paying taxes on a $600,000 house where we don't feel we can send our children to get a quality education due to overcrowding." That's the kind of thing that ruins neighborhoods for taxpayers, for parents, for a district, because that affects property values, and it makes things hard for people that want to live there. And in closing, I just want to say, if Cypher believes in their motto with learn, empower, achieve, and dream, then we've got to address it. Thank you.
Thank you. Craig Sharp is our next speaker.
I even made notes. Hi, my name is Craig Sharp. Thank you, Dr. Ogletree, Dr. Henry, and the board. I've known you all for many years. I'd like to talk about the new upcoming bond that you're looking at. For us, me personally, this weekend, I got the opportunity to go to the FFA auction on Thursday for the goat and steer, whatever they do to look at them. It was very fun for us because I'm a Cy Ranch person. I also went to Saturday's auction. Amazed at how many people are standing and not a place to sit. There's probably a good 100 or 200 people outside the arena that have no place to sit. And I know in this new bond coming up, you guys are planning on expanding that to have more seating space because it does need it. With 12 high schools now, you have a number of kids. And if you expand to 13th high school, that's just going to put you another 50, 60 people in the area. It's just not a place just not enough room for everybody. The Fine Arts Center that you guys are looking at the high schools, and they put on great theater performances. Having a facility that could seat 1,500 people would give them more money in their pockets because they get paid for people to come and see those performances, because they are paying $50,000 or $60,000 to even get when we did Shrek. I mean, you have to pay to get all the props and everything, and have a bigger theater and get more people in there to see it would be great for every high school to have a place to go do a bigger performance with more people to come and see it. Same with the choirs and the bands. You get, as we talked about, the band having 450 students in it. How many parents you're going to have? That's 900 if you just bring the two. But then you have all the kids and everybody. Having a place to have them go and seat and bring in more people to see them perform is really what we're about. I'm for this bond. I've always have been. I back the school district. I have no kids in the school. I am all graduated, 3 of them from Fair and 2 from Ranch. Speaking about still in this, the new ISC that you're planning on doing, I would fully back that. As you can see tonight, yes, most of the people left, but you had 100 people in the back of the room standing because you don't have a place to seat everybody. It would be nice to have a bigger facility for that. And of course, again, you guys just did the auditorium. You talked about the things that would happen this last weekend or in January. We didn't have a facility like that before until we did the 2014 bond and got that built. So please look at it, vote it, get it out to the public, and let them make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you. Appreciate that. Jornay Rito.
Hello, my name is Jornay Rito. I work with the Built Environment Unit for Harris County Public Health, where we make recommendations to decision makers about how to improve health through updates and changes to policies and plans related to the built environment. We're currently working on a health impact review on school siting policies. This is due to the direct impact the location of a school has on a student's health through exposure to nearby vehicle emissions, an increased risk of pedestrian accidents, and the associated physical and mental health impacts from the lack of opportunities to be active. We're aware that your district is experiencing a lot of growth and will be interested in knowing more about the school siting policies that you currently have. There are 4 things your school district can do to participate or support. 1, to be knowledgeable of the resources that Harris County Public Health's Built Environment Unit can offer and the projects we're currently working on that will benefit schools within the particular district. This will happen through an initial meeting with key individuals. 2, support the work our unit plans to do around school siting. We intend to conduct key informant interviews as part of our research. We would appreciate representation from the district. 3, once our unit's research has been concluded, be willing to receive the findings from our research through a report and presentation. And 4, ideally use the final report as a reference during decision processes in the future concerning school siting. And I also have 1-pagers on hand with more information concerning the project if interested.
Thank you. Now, Jason Suk Face. I don't see all the read it. Come on, tell us who you are, Jason.
Just as it looks. Good evening, Dr. Henry, Board of Trustees. My name's Jason Skufka. I'm a father of two daughters, one of which is attending Cypher High School, and she is a sophomore in the symphonic band, and the other one graduated last year and was also an alumni band member. Having spent the past 8 years, I guess, following my daughters through the music programs of Hamilton Middle School and Cypher High School, including attending dozens of concerts in various locations, some of which better than others, I'm very excited to see, actually, a Performance Arts Center as the proposed bond election. So having a first-class facility in which to highlight the talents of the thousands of students involved in the visual and performing arts is not only an honor for those students, but it will be a real gift for the community. Through having one of the only facilities that I know of its kind among the Houston area school districts, the Cypher ISD will be able to spotlight its student body talents, as well as expand the accessibility of the arts to the surrounding community. In a way, this facility would bring Houston's Jones Hall, the Hobby Center for the Performing Arts, Wortham, Alley Theater, all to our little corner of Northwest Houston. Having been in the band program myself in high school, as well as watching the positive influences that the program has had on my daughters, along with their friends, I can clearly see the value in investing in the fine arts. As a property owner, I do recognize the additional burden that a bond may have on the taxpayer, but I do believe that the Performing Arts Center will provide a long-lasting return on investment for the school district, its students, and the community. So I would like to thank the Long Range Planning Committee for including that Performing Arts Center in their bond proposal, as well as the board here for your consideration to pass it on to the voters. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Jason. We'll now hear from Anthony Torres.
Hello again. My name is Anthony Torres, and I'm a senior at Cypress Falls High School. I've had the privilege of serving on the Long Range Planning Committee, and I've learned a lot about the district over the past several weeks. As a student or as a community member, you may not realize how much goes into running a school district. But this opportunity has opened my eyes into what the district has as opposed to what the district needs moving forward. Over the last 20 years, CFISD has grown in the northern direction as well as in the westward direction. In 1992, CFISD had 27 campuses of north or west of 1960 and Highway 6. In 2018, we now have 68 campuses in that same region. The district is growing in a positive direction, and this possible bond election represents that growth as well as the opportunity for all that our community supports. My best example of a previous bond election is the bond that produced the Berry Center. When we, the community, approved of this bond, I don't believe any of us would have imagined all the benefits we would reap from it over the past decade. It now functions as an arena, a conference center, a cold food storage, a theater, and a stadium. Moving forward, the district will put our future instructional support facilities to great use. This ISC, as well as the Performing Arts Center, will be in an ideal location for our district, as it is now at the center of our district, and the center of our 13 high schools, including Winfern. I look forward to advocating for the CFISD and this bond election with you, the community, as this is an amazing program for our students and their administrators moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Our next speaker is Tanya Jaggi.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Tanya Jaggi. I am a product of Cypher ISD. I went to elementary school here, middle school, and junior high. And high school. I went to a couple of junior highs because we moved around, and then graduated from Cypher ISD. I had the pleasure of being a part of the Long Range Planning Committee. I am a taxpayer, and I also have children in the school district currently who are going to reap many of the benefits of the Long Range Planning Committee decisions that we put on this bond that we hope gets passed. The best thing about the bond, if you haven't had a chance to read it, it literally has something for everyone. If you are in band, if you are in choir, if you're in ag, if you're looking to do welding or any sort of trade job, we've got something in this bond for everybody. I'm in strong support of this bond. Everyone who I've talked to is excited about the bond. And in addition, we tried to be fiscally safe for the community and the taxpayers. So we hope that it does get passed, that it has lots of support, and that everybody's excited about where this district is going and what we're providing for our students and what we're providing for their futures. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Our next speaker is Stacy Anderson.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Ogletree, Dr. Henry, and members of the board. I was honored to serve on the Long Range Planning Committee as well. This was my first time to participate, and I was eager to learn about the process. Being concerned with balancing tax burden and education quality, I wanted to understand how these bond amounts are derived and just why are they so big. Some observations about the process. I was impressed with the effort made to ensure the committee included a diverse group of stakeholders representing residents of the district geographically, demographically, politically, and professionally. I appreciated that gradients of agreement were used to prioritize the projects and concerns were discussed openly and ardently, thus enriching our discussions and sometimes even changing the direction of a particular issue. The proposed projects were informed by district experts and the work of third-party consultants who have nothing to sell the district. They presented directly to the committee, and we often push back on their assessment, asking for alternative ways to achieve a desired outcome with a more palatable cost-benefit profile. All of the information shared with the committee is on the district website, and I encourage the public to explore the documents and know the facts. Do not rely on hearsay to inform your opinions. Cy-Fair citizens benefit from the vision of our district founders and publicly elected trustees over time who have ensured that our model of community-based schools remains strong and is designed to serve all children equitably. Buildings are maintained in a way that students and employees have a safe, secure, modern, clean place to work. Continued strong economic growth and housing development requires new schools to be built as existing schools are operated at or over capacity, utilizing portable buildings. Student growth in Cy-Fair has been larger than 31 states combined over the last 15 years. The most surprising facts I learned on the committee were that the district manages 18 million square feet of space in over 120 buildings across a physical area the size of what would be the 18th largest city in the U.S. if we were a city. In order to address the ongoing need for repair, replacement, and enhancement of facilities at the lowest cost, we must prepare now. We were told Cy-Fair is ahead of most other districts in the country with regard to security and safety, but now more is known about the technology, communications equipment, and facility modifications required to ensure basic safety on campuses. These enhancements are urgent and given the size of the district will take some time to implement. We've heard the effort to privatize public education through vouchers is dead in Texas, but the attention has just moved to charter school expansion. There are 15 privately operated charter organizations with over 25 campuses already in Cy-Fair. 95% of students who reside within our boundaries choose to attend Cy-Fair schools because of the strong academic performance, diversity and quality of programs offered, good facilities, and array of special services provided. I hope you see that the proposed projects support the continued level of excellence expected and appreciated by the vast majority of our families at a reasonable cost. Please choose to send this bond to the voters in May. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Our next speaker is Mark Parker.
There's the lights I'm supposed to pay attention to, right? I missed that part earlier. I have to qualify mine real quick with my wife's really the one that champions most of our kids' causes. I just happen to be closest here. So here on her behalf and my neighbor's behalf. Following up on what Ms. McQuarrie was talking about as far as our feelings on the crowding in our school. You know, is that what's affecting our children's education there? Is there's too many kids, we're not getting it done? You know, we weren't, that was neat, celebrating the superintendent's incremental growth award. I mean, it'd be a blast to be on that. I mean, these guys that were here seem to really enjoy that. So are we not getting that level of growth in our school because there's too many kids, not enough admin, not enough teachers to go around? We got lots of parents putting a lot of time in trying to help out. Obviously, that's not going to get it done. So again, I'm going to have to speak in generalities because I'm just the support person here for my wife. But the way I understand it is there is a plan for boundary changes that's going to affect our schools' enrollment level. I think there's some concern with that you know, maybe it seemed to go through pretty quick. It just seemed like a few months ago they were discussing it, and all of a sudden, yep, we got a plan, let's do it. You know, some of the talk among the neighbors is that it's really pulling away some of our established parts of our neighborhood, parts of our school, that these kids that, you know, it's been in there for decades. So do we look more from the fringes, you know, more areas that may not be as associated to Jersey Village as the piece that's being taken away? That's the extent I understand of what everybody's been saying anyways. Again, I wasn't at a math symposium, but I didn't catch up on the videos either. So, you know, if what Stacy just said on the 95% of the kids in our community come to Cypher schools, isn't that what you said? Well, we don't have that in Jersey Village. There's more like 40%, maybe 30%. There's not a lot of kids go somewhere else, and we just want to know why. Because we want it to be part of our community, part of our school, part of the whole experience that we're trying to have at Post and JV High School, and you know, just consider that when we're moving forward, planning for us. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Thank you. Julie Heineman, next.
Dr. Ogletree, Dr. Henry, and Board of Trustees. At the last board meeting, Mr. Jackson asked me a question I answered off the top of my head. So I'd like to tonight try to answer it again with a little more thought put into it. You asked if we believe that the Cypress-Fairbanks community would support the long-range planning recommendation. And we believe that the community will support this recommendation because it was developed by the community for the community. The long-range planning committee was made up of a diverse cross-section of our population. Parents like me who desire educational programs to prepare our kids for jobs or college after graduation, who want to avoid overcrowded classrooms or buses, who value extracurricular options like fine arts and athletics to ensure well-balanced graduates and to give our kids a place to belong in their schools. We have young adults who do not yet have school-age children, who look forward to having their own kids attend Cypher ISD schools, and who understand the role of technology in our technology-oriented world. We had over 65ers who will not be impacted by a proposed tax increase because they have an over 65 tax exemption. But they care about public education, and they want to ensure that all kids, no matter where they live, have access to the same resources and opportunities. We had students, like Anthony, who had the courage to sit in a room full of adults and participate in this intense process, yet didn't seem intimidated or deterred from sharing their thoughts from the inside of our schools and to share what was most important to them. We had business people who understand the importance of asset protection. More than 50% of the proposed recommendation is to maintain and protect assets that currently exist on the 91 school campuses and additional support facilities. This is simply good business practice and being fiscally responsible for the investments that we have already made in our community. Our business members also provided valuable insights into issues like cybersecurity and the need to invest in workforce development like CTE courses. We had empty nesters who don't have children in school anymore, but know that having good schools mean better amenities, lower crime, and better property values. I was actually approached by a gentleman this week who had watched the video of the first board meeting when we talked about the recommendation. And he told me, when you decide to sell your home, the first thing you say is, it's in the Cypress-Fairbanks School District, because that adds value to your home. Finally, all of us focused on the safety and security of students and staff, while the previous bond provided a strong foundation to build on and is recognized as a role model for state leaders and for other school districts. We listened to teachers, students, and security consultants to determine additional ways to most cost-effectively add security features to our existing facilities. Now, you may hear some people are going to oppose this bond program. Some of them may not even live in our school district, but still feel the need to share their voices. Some may oppose this bond program, live in our district, but they're over 65, so they will not be impacted by a potential tax increase. Some are members of organizations that will oppose a bond program no matter what month it's held, and even if it was only for $1, just because of a difference in philosophy. We stand behind our recommendation, and we believe the community will support the 2019-2025 long-range plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Heineman, and for your leadership in this area. Our last speaker for tonight is Brittany McAllister.
Hello, thank you for letting me be here tonight. My name is Brittany McAllister, and I just moved here to the area from Utah, and it's true. One of the selling points to move to this area was the school district. I'm here tonight because my daughter was attending an elementary school with a Spanish dual immersion language program that I was super excited about in Utah. When I moved here, I eagerly looked to put her in a similar program here in Cyfair, but I was surprised to learn that such a program does not exist yet in the area. When I read the Cyfair School District mission statement speak of the goals of empowering our children to prepare students to be global leaders, my heart took hope, and I knew that we needed to get this program here in Cyfair. My daughter just started at Sampson Elementary, and I was so impressed to learn that it's one of the top 100 schools in Texas. I'm confident that implementing a dual immersion language program would only improve the school and the district's ranking. Nearly half a century of studies have shown how much dual immersion helps students academically, socially, their cognitive development, and studies have also shown that they do just as well in the standardized testing, and in many instances do even better. I believe that the interest of this program is here in the area. There are 2 private preschools in the area that are immersion programs, and this program, if we implement it in this area, will give those kids the opportunity to continue their education that they've already developed in the preschool. Back at home, my youngest brothers have participated in the Chinese dual immersion program in their school, and it is amazing. My brother just turned 12 years old last month. Not only does he get excellent grades, but guys, the kid is fluent in Chinese. He is already more prepared than I am to face the 21st century, and I feel like children here in this district need and deserve that type of education. I have contacted Houston Independent School District, which has over 45 immersion language campuses, and they're willing and excited to help us start the program here. I brought with me today Kim Fears, who has studied and taught dual immersion and been trained in dual immersion for 8 years. She's seen the difference this type of education makes and is excited to see Cyfair adopt this program. We are here. We are passionate. We are ready to do whatever we need to do to help our kids have this amazing opportunity. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, McAllister. We appreciate all the comments from all citizens tonight. The written reports and public comments portion of the agenda were presented at our Committee of the Whole meeting on Thursday, February 7th. The board will now proceed with the consensus action items portion of the agenda. On 6A, the board will consider approving the tax refunds of $500 or greater for Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. 6B, the board will consider approving the minutes of the January 17th, 2019 regular board meeting. The following non-consensus action items were moved to the consensus board work session on Thursday, February 7. The board will consider approving the budget amendments for the period of October 1, 2018 through December 31st of 2018. D, the board will consider awarding bids and contracts and/or authorizing purchase orders as recommended in the posted agenda item. Audio-visual supplies, Canon inkjet press or print center, classroom materials and supplies, marching band trailers, marching band uniforms, school buses, special education equipment and supplies. On 6E, the board will consider approving a request for a Texas Education Agency waiver that allows the district to train staff on various educational strategies designed to improve student performance in lieu of student instruction for the 2019-2020 school year. Also, F, the board will consider approving on second readings additions, revisions, and/or deletions to district policies, FMG local student activities, travel. This is a revision. May I have a motion to accept these consensus items as mentioned or
Mr. President, I move that we approve the consent agenda items as recommended and/or amended.
Second.
any questions? All in favor of that motion, would you please raise your right hands? All right. We'll now go to our action items under non-consensus. 7A, the board will consider approving construction proposals and contracts paid from bond funds to the recommended contractors and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents related to such contracts. These are Hamilton Middle School renovations and Jersey Village High School renovations. May I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move the board award these construction contracts to the recommended contractors and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents related to such contracts.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this item? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hands. All right, it's unanimous. Item 7B, the board will consider approving and authorizing the superintendent or designee to enter into the miscellaneous professional service contracts related to the following project, and that is the 2018 Hamilton Middle School renovations. May we have a motion, please?
Mr. President, I move that the board approve and authorize the superintendent or designee to enter into the miscellaneous professional service contracts for the listed project up to the recommended amounts.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, it's moved and seconded. Any further discussion, questions? All those in favor, please raise your right hands. As unanimous, thank you. 7C, the board will consider authorizing the superintendent or designee to finalize and execute a purchase and sale agreement for an approximate 16-acre tract on Clay Road west of Fry Road and negotiate and execute any necessary closing documents, contracts, easements, utility service, and development agreement.
Mr. President, I move that the board authorize the superintendent or designee to finalize and execute a purchase and sale agreement for an approximate 16-acre tract of land on Clay Road, west of Fry Road, and negotiate and execute any necessary closing documents, contracts, easements, utility service, and developmental agreements, et cetera, required for the purchase.
I second.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, please. All right, it's unanimous. And item D, the board will consider approving the administration's recommendations for rezoning modifications of multiple campus attendance boundaries for the 2019-2020 school year.
Dr. Ogletree, I move that the board approve the administration's recommendations for rezoning modifications of multiple campus attendance boundaries for the 2019-2020 school year.
I second Dr. Ogletree.
Any other further discussion, questions? Yes, Tom.
Revisiting the subject at the last board meeting, I talked about original design capacity, which I do think is important. Mr. Sprague, related to that, there were 3 schools that were identified as potentially being able to accommodate more students. For those 3 schools, if we take a look at the original design capacity, how does that compare to their current population?
Right now, those schools are actually below the capacity on 2 of the schools, and one of the campuses, it's in 3 years, I believe it gets close to that capacity after the changes.
And that's on the original design capacity?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Thank you. And Mr. Sprague, you're an architect. Is there research that shows correlation between square footage per child and test scores achievement?
Yes, there's numerous research papers out there, and one in particular indicates that there's really not a correlation of the size or the square foot per student compared to test scores. Based on the data that was used in that particular study that was done back in February in 2018, basically it concluded there was really no correlation between those 2.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Macias, each of our schools, and indeed every school across the state of Texas, is compared against a cohort of 40 other schools. One of the schools in question that we're looking at as it relates to rezoning is Post Elementary. How does Post do on those tests compared to its cohort of other 40 schools?
Mr. Jackson, actually, Post Elementary does very well and compared to the cohort of 40 schools. And I'm going to answer your question this way. As you know, the campuses earn distinction designations, and that is part of the comparison process. And these distinction designations are above and beyond just meeting the standard. In fact, you may remember me sharing in past board meetings that the Commissioner of Education says that to earn 1 distinction, 1, is quite impressive for a campus. Post Elementary has 4 distinction designations. And I'll also share with you, we have lots of our campuses that have 1 to 3 distinction designations. We only have 30% that have 4 to 6, and Post Elementary is one of those campuses.
I am a champion of the distinction concept. It was rolled out by Commissioner Williams, and Commissioner Morath has become a champion of that as well. I remember discussing the matter with him when he was just a lowly trustee like we are now, when he was in Dallas. And certainly we have modified our evaluation package to take a look at schools as they are measured on distinctions. We value it that significantly. When it comes to rezoning, I am very sensitive to the impact that it has on the academic attainment of our children. Certainly in my case, I pulled my kids out of private school to attend one elementary school, and the very next year they were rezoned to a brand new elementary school. Coming from growing up in fast growth areas, certainly I bounced from school to school, and being the child of a career military officer, I certainly knew a number of different campuses. So I am sensitive to the to rezoning and the impact that it has, but I'm also sensitive to academic attainment of our students as measured. So thank you for that information.
And Mr. Jackson, let me make a correction here because I was looking at the wrong X marks. Post-elementary actually has 2 distinction designations.
Well,
But they do have distinction designations.
And of course, our district's a little different. We actually post all of this information online. If you try and find the cohort designations for other districts, you have to go to the state of Texas website for the TEA, which is a little more difficult. Like many of our questions, I often have researched the answer myself. So yes, it's 2 distinctions. The year before it was 4.
That's correct.
Post remains and has been for the better part of the past 15 years a very high achieving school. I have walked Post. I've made 3 visits now. And one of the things when I look at, whenever I walk any of our campuses, I want to take a look at what the hallways look like when our students are walking the hallways. I want to see what the cafeterias look like when our students are in the cafeteria. And you get a sense which schools happen to have a bit too many students. And I did not see any of those characteristics that would tell me that Post has too many. However, having said that, we are over an original design capacity, and I know the numbers. As part of the bond proposal, are we looking to build a new elementary and new middle school? And that would be, Teresa, I guess, for you.
Yes, Mr. Jackson, we have a new elementary and a new middle school included in the 2019 bond package.
And when those schools open, will we be visiting significant rezoning across the entire district?
Yes, sir, but we will also be looking at it sooner than that. This next school year, we'll be looking at drawing attendance boundaries for middle school 19 that is scheduled to open in the fall of, 2020. So we will be looking at drawing those attendance boundaries next fall, early spring, and bringing those recommendations to the board. And anytime we do rezoning of secondary campuses, we also have to look at feeder patterns as well. And so we're going to also look at elementaries and are waiting for our PASA report, which we will receive at the end of this month and be presenting that to the board early March. So that is another indicator of some growth and where that growth will occur and any potential rezoning we need to address.
Mr. Jackson, if you'll allow me to brag on one more thing for post-elementary. Domain 3 of the accountability system, for that domain, they actually earned 90 out of 100 points. That domain looks at the meets and masters, so the higher levels. So we're very proud of the students at Post and the fact that they are really reaching the higher levels of academic progress.
I appreciate your pointing that out. I've long been a champion of trying to reach mastery, and certainly I was a supporter of the mastery program and concept that we piloted at one of our local high schools. So thank you for that information. Dr. Ogletree, thank you.
Thank you, Dorsey.
Thank you, Teresa, for the clarification on the next time that we'll look at elementary school boundaries. So what we're doing tonight is a solution to help us over the next couple of years. It's not a permanent solution because everything is fluid and changes, and we look at it anytime there are changes. I think some of the Post parents are concerned that we'll never look at a boundary change again, and I want to assure them that it'll be a part of many different processes coming over the next few years. The other thing I just feel like I have to have some clarification on is our class sizes. At elementary school, we have a 22-to-1 class size unless we request a waiver. Is that correct, Ms. Hull?
That is correct.
Did we request a waiver this year at post-elementary?
There were no waivers requested for post-elementary this year, and double check that on Thursday as well as in the fall, and all classes K through 4 were at or below 22-1.
Okay, because we do have to comply with the state requirements on enrollment and classroom size, and if we're not complying, we have to request a waiver. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I think that's just important that we all understand that. So when I look at this plan, I see a very cohesive plan, a very well thought out plan. I know that it won't be a solution for 2025 because we'll have many opportunities to look at other changes. So right now, I think this looks like a great start for solving an overcrowded problem at post-elementary. Thank you.
Dr. Ogletree, one other comment. The board remains sensitive to the concerns of individual parents. As a parent, what's most important to us is our children. As trustees, sometimes we take our parent hat off, and particularly when it relates to rezoning, we can't rezone for an individual year. We have to look at a pathway as it unfolds. From a parent standpoint, what you care about, just like when my kids were rezoned from Lowry over to Feast, is what's the immediate impact on my children. So we remain sensitive to that, but as trustees, we're also given a slightly different charge. Thank you.
Teresa, would you explain for those viewing how feeder patterns have to be considered with these rezonings and how complicated these rezoning is?
It is a major consideration when we're looking at attendance boundary modifications. We really try to make every effort first to keep communities together as much as possible, neighborhoods together. But when we also have to take into consideration not having a small number of students, say from one elementary, that may break off and go to a middle school without the majority of their peers. We really try to avoid that. We've had concerns expressed by parents in some other situations when we have small groups of students that have gone K through 5 at one campus, and then say only a small number of them break off and go to a different middle school feeder pattern and high school feeder pattern. So we really do take that into consideration. And in this particular case, it was just difficult to look at all of those, not knowing exactly what the middle school modifications may be next year that we need to consider, and the high school modifications. So we didn't want to move students, potentially having to come back and move them again if it was going to create some changes in their middle school or overcrowding at that middle school when we start shifting. I know the change is way over on the far southwest portion of the district is where middle school 19 is opening, but it does kind of create a domino across the district that we have to look at and consider. So I hope I did answer that completely for you, Dr. Ogletree.
Thank you. Post was on my school visits in the last school year, and I was I know the pride that the community has in that school. My wife taught at Post. I was really impressed with the principal there, Tamika Williams, and what I saw as a very outstanding school and exemplary program. I want to ask you this, Linda Macias. Would we make a zoning move to try to hurt a school's standard of excellence? I mean, would we do that to hurt whatever level or to bring their level down? And when we make these zonings, don't we still expect that school to not just stay at a standard, but even to excel.
Dr. O, we would never make a change of any kind to hurt students in this district. You hear Dr. Henry talk about opportunities for all. That's for all of our students. Secondly, in this district, we have a common curriculum and common assessments. That means it doesn't matter what school you go to, you're going to find the same curriculum and you're going to find the same assessments that we provide. The expectations are the same for all schools and all students.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, are we ready? All in favor? Please. Thank you. Item 7E, the Cypress-Fairbanks ISD Board of Trustees will consider adopting an order calling a bond election to be held within the district on May 4th, 2019, making provisions for the conduct and the giving of notice of the election and containing other provisions related thereto.
Mr. President, I move that the Cypress-Fairbanks ISD Board of Trustees approve the administration's recommendation for the adoption of an order calling a bond election to be held within said district on May 4th, 2019, in the aggregate amount of $1.762 billion, making provisions for the conduct and the giving of notice of the election and containing other provisions relating thereto.
Second.
Any further comment, questions, anything on the motion? Yes, Darcy.
Dr. Ogletree, I just have a general question. I've heard a couple of people comment that the May election is not something they support. They would prefer a November election. But I want to clarify, Dr. Henry, that we as a board do have two opportunities each year to call for a bond election, and they are in May and November. And that is duly authorized by our state legislature, and also what you see as the advantages of a May election.
Well, you are correct. In fact, when I started in this business, a school district could call a bond election anytime they wanted to. They just had to give the 45-day notice, and over time that local control has been eroded by the state of Texas, where now we only have 2 dates and to select from. And we've always felt that a May election was advantageous for a school bond election, not to pass it, but to make sure that we're at the top of the ballot. If you end up in November, just like this last time, there were elections that were buried deep inside of a ballot, but we'll be one of only just a very few issues that show up on a May ballot. That's a time when people are used to voting. We have a very similar turnout for bond elections on November and May, is my understanding. So we think it's a good time for people to know that the bond election is going on and not getting buried with Senate races, presidential races, congressional races.
Tom?
A couple of follow-up questions as it related to the bond proposal itself, and I'm actually going to repeat 2 questions from last Thursday, simply because I found the response to be persuasive. As Bob noted, when he went to Washington, D.C., we are being persuaded that competition is good for public education. And so one question I have in light of that, Dr. Henry, do we think that the bond election will in fact help us remain competitive, since that is now a national focus? And then the second area, as you pointed out, 55% of this bond proposal has to deal with campus renovations. This district, but more importantly, this community, has always supported renovations to try and keep all the facilities as close together as possible throughout the entire district. This model is very different from what virtually all other large school districts follow. And so my question to you, does this approach, in your view, enhance student attainment, teacher satisfaction? And also, more importantly, is in light of the size of the bond proposal, is it time to abandon this approach and do what almost everybody else does, or is it better to stay the course and follow that which has been successful for the district in the past?
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. You know, first of all, what I would say, maybe even a little different than what I said last Thursday, Cy-Fair ISD is America. Cy-Fair ISD looks like America. We have every ethnic group, we have every language, we have every religious group, we have people from the most impoverished beginnings to those that are very affluent. And having raised three children, and two of them in very high poverty, high minority school districts, that was an advantage for my children. So I think Cy-Fair offers an advantage that when kids go to our schools, they see what the world looks like. They see what America looks like. And that's the number one advantage we have over people that say they're public education, but they're really nothing more than groups of people who choose the children that they want to educate. If you have a special needs child in your household, Cy-Fair ISD is the place for you. If you want your child to be exposed to the best technology available in classrooms, Cy-Fair ISD is a place for you. If you want your child in a school that leads not only the state but in the country in improving the safety at campuses, Cy-Fair ISD is a place for you. If you want your children to experience world-class fine arts program, athletics programs, career and technology programs, or other special programs, Cy-Fair ISD is the place for you. If you want your child to be universally transported to school, we have universal transportation in Cy-Fair ISD. So this board, this community has made a commitment to all students. And yes, there are some other options, but we're going to compete for every one of those students. We're not going to give up on any of them because we know ultimately we have the best product going. This bond, to get to your question, helps us maintain that edge over other education institutions. This bond will help our facilities, our campuses remain modern, comfortable, well lighted. There'll be new facilities. Again, I go back, if you go look at Bain Elementary School is a perfect example to me. If you saw that school 4 years ago, it looked very dated. Now it looks like a brand new school. And that's in a part of our community where there's not a lot of political influence. But this board and this community saw fit that those students deserve an equal opportunity to quality facilities, and as Dr. Macias said, quality programs. So when you have those kinds of facilities, you can attract better teachers and better professionals and better support staff where our students benefit from having those high-quality professionals. And I will put our teaching staff, I'll put our campus leadership staff up against anyone, not only in the state, but again in this nation. You know, the part you touched on and the part I talked about there with Bain Elementary, if you've got good facilities, you want to keep them good facilities and modern facilities. 55% of this program is designed to improve and enhance the facilities that we already have. So in other words, maintaining the assets of the taxpayers of this community. We do it very prudent. We do it very efficient. We've had some of the best financial leadership in the state from Mr. Snow and his team. So we make sure that we always lessen the blow of any type of taxing that we have to do here. And in fact, I've been here 8 years and we've lowered the tax rate a penny. So we've been very responsible with taxpayer dollars. We're the most efficient school district financially in the state for about what, Stuart, 5 or 6 years running? So, and we're proud of that. but we still deliver quality products to our parents and to our students. And I said this last time, Mr. Jackson, and I love the old commercial, you can pay me now or you can pay me later. So we can either keep our facilities up to date, or at some point in time, we're going to have to tear them down or really spend a lot of money. So I think the way that we approach things is approach our facilities and our transportation and our technology is very much a wise way to do so.
Mr. Sprague, as a licensed architect, and I asked you to check and see if there is research that would substantiate that which we do. Here in the district, we believe anecdotally that having facilities up to par does in fact enhance student attainment, but I charged you with identifying, is there research out there that supports that anecdotal observation? What did you find?
Yes, there are numerous reports out there and studies that have been performed. One particular one I know was a recent one on furniture, just as minor as that people may think. But to try to put, if you look at some of the old furniture we have in schools from 50 years ago and how those classrooms were set up, all lined in rows, compared to the furniture that's available now and the ergonomic furniture that's available. And studies clearly show that students like to move. Some students like to move around more than others, and by allowing students to move through the use of ergonomic furniture, it helps improve student achievement and their test scores throughout that. That's just one of many examples. I could certainly provide you a list of research papers that we've come across to answer your question in more detail.
Following up on that, I asked a series of questions last Thursday regarding our fine arts facility, and certainly I think almost 80,000 of our 117,000 students are involved in fine arts, which is clearly the largest participation level. With respect to, on this bond issue, a consideration is the fine arts facility. Is there documentation that having fine arts facilities enhances student attainment?
Yes, sir. In fact, there was a recent study back in February of 2018 by an architectural firm that does a lot of facility trend and data. And based on their analysis, they've seen on their data module a 10% higher GPA for students that participate in extracurricular and fine arts programs. And they also correlated to an actual increase in daily attendance of 2% increase. So there is very good data out there supporting the reinvestment of our existing facilities and maintaining them and keeping them modern, like Dr. Henry said. It certainly has a positive impact on student achievement in our district.
Thank you, Mr. Sprague. I received a text message from a parent at the high school where my children participated in band for 8 consecutive years. I always like to go back to the school that my kids graduated from and try and take in at least one band performance. And I was kind of surprised to find out that the spring show, which is kind of the culmination of the concert season, cannot be held on campus because there is no room. And that, I think, is some evidence of the capacity need for a fine arts facility. As a trustee, I do not get to pick and choose how many seats you put into the fine arts facility. I remain aware that wouldn't be nice if instead of just having one, we had 2 over there, because if that's true for the high school that my children graduated from, I suspect it's probably true for other high schools as well. But that decision is on the management side of the fence, and certainly part of the recommendation to long-range planning, and not something that I get to push my fingers into, but I am aware of it. And Mr. Sprague, my standard question, since Harvey had such a devastating impact on Harris County, City of Houston, we were fortunate in that we only lost one school, which had to be completely gutted, and we were fortunate that there was not infiltration into the brick and mortar. So we were able to keep brick and mortar and steel for that school. In your view, are we adequately looking at the impact of another Harvey coming our way? I know we can't plan for it. Supposedly that was a 500-year event, 1,000-year event.
1,000-year.
But I suspect, as former county judge Ed Emmett pointed out, we're going to be seeing more of those. So briefly talk about the work that was done overall to take a look at potential impact of flooding.
One of the things we always look at, one, I'll start with the property purchases. In fact, the recent transaction that we closed on last month, the Dunham Point tract, there's actually a portion of the site that was actually in the 100-year floodplain. As part of our negotiations, we were successful in working with the developer to make sure that portion of the property is brought up above the floodplain. Then when we design facilities, we're certainly looking at the finished floor elevation as we design those buildings to make sure we put that elevation high enough to where we can minimize or completely eliminate the water getting into our buildings. I think Harvey is a great testament to what we've done over the years since I've been in this school district, and even prior to my existence in joining Cy-Fair 22 years ago, is that we've always looked at that as a design criteria in our projects, and to only have one building with that devastating flood that we all experienced with Harvey that had significant flood damage, I think is a testament to the standards that we've established in this school district and continue to maintain. As part of this bond program, one of the sites we're looking at, certainly we feel there is going to be a need for detention requirements. We're planning for that accordingly if the bond passes. We work very closely with our civil engineers, and obviously Harris County Flood Control has changed their requirements, and we're starting to see that on current projects. So they're being more stringent, not only on us, but other developers and building owners out there and doing improvements to make sure that we can minimize the impact to our community as a result of having another event like Harvey.
Thank you. Another follow-up question for you. Several years ago, you presented an analysis on converting grass fields to a higher level turf product. And at that time, it was your assessment that it not only was there a cost savings to us that would be realized, there would be a reduction of athlete injuries as a result. Certainly my youngest, who ran track and also ran distance, certainly there were any number of sprained ankles simply because tracks were not in the shape that as a parent I would have liked them to have been. Part of this talks about further removal of grass turf and putting artificial turf in. Have we in fact enjoyed the benefits of that which you thought would happen that you had seen elsewhere? So for us, did we actually experience the benefit of reduced cost and a reduction of athlete injuries related to the turf itself?
I can certainly speak on behalf of the facility component of it, and yes, we have seen those benefits. And one big advantage is that, one, it's lowered our maintenance costs. It's allowed our grounds crews to be able to go focus on other parts of our district, especially when you consider the limited resources we have available because of the state financial system that we have in place. It's enabled us to maintain our other facilities in better shape as a result of moving crews around. In addition to that, when we have a big rain event, the athletes or students can get back on those fields basically that afternoon or that same day, whereas if it was a grass field, in some cases it's muddy, we're not able to get on that field for 2 or 3 days. So it certainly has impacted our athletic department, our fine arts departments, and other groups that use those fields in a very positive way. I have not heard of any increase in injuries, so I would say that we maintained or actually improved that, but Ms. Hull may be able to explain anything further she knows from the athletic department if she has any data on that.
A question directed toward, in your direction, Mr. Snow. As trustees, we do not vote in favor or against the bond. We only vote in favor or against sending the bond proposal out to the voters. The voters are the ones who actually make the decision. Last Thursday, I directed a question toward Ms. Heineman that she answered very adequately last Thursday, but certainly tonight much more eloquently, because I don't want to vote in favor of the bond proposal if there's not a reasonable possibility that the public would favor it. In a similar fashion, do we think the investing public will have an appetite for our bonds at an affordable interest rate?
Are you asking whether our community can invest in those bonds? I'm not sure I understand your question.
There is an investing public
Yes.
that buys bonds.
Right.
Will that appetite for our bonds, should we vote to send this to the voters, will it be sufficient for them to acquire our bonds at an interest rate that is within our projections?
Absolutely. As you recall, in the some of the assumptions in the models that we prepared to determine what the tax impact would be on various scenarios of the bond scope, we used a 4.5% interest rate on the coupon of those bonds. Certainly within the last several bond issues that we've sold from the 2014 bond and previous authorizations, the interest rates that we have received, all-in interest costs, that means the interest cost plus all of the expenses that were related to selling those bonds were much less than 4.5%. In fact, they were in the 3% range. We have a very, very high, very strong underlying bond rating, which is our credit rating, so to speak, that is issued by the credit rating agencies, Moody's and Standard & Poor's, which also attracts a number of bond syndicates, investors wanting to buy our bonds. But in addition to that, we receive the benefit of the Permanent School Fund guarantee, which allows us then to sell those bonds at a AAA rating rather than the AA ratings that we have on our underlying ratings, which means that we can sell these bonds at the very lowest interest cost available in the market at the time. So, and we always have a tremendous appetite from the investors of our bonds because they know what our trends are, what our history of financial management is, so they rely on the integrity of this district and the bonds and how we operate and how we manage this district. So. In fact, many times when those orders are put in for those various serial bonds, they are oversubscribed by 2, 3, 4 times, which means that we have more orders for our bonds than we can actually sell.
Very good. Thank you, sir. I know it'll come as a shock to everybody, but that concludes my questions.
Bob.
Yeah, mine are very brief. And this is really out to the public because I know in the past bonds that I've been participating in, there's a misconception that if we were to actually have this bond election and it passed, then the teachers will be getting a pay raise, but that's not something we can use bond funds for. And I hope everybody understands that out there. This is specified in exactly what we can do. However, what I have seen happen to this district over the past 3 bonds that I've seen is that we've been able to save money, thanks to Roy Sprague and certainly to Stewart, and we've been able to save money and put in some extra things that we didn't plan on. But we do have to follow the code or the policy on the bond. We can't just go spend it any way we want to. So I just wanted to make that statement. You don't have to answer the question unless I was wrong, okay? Thank you. I wasn't wrong.
All right. Yes, Deb.
I agree totally with what Dr. Henry said earlier about supporting the May election, because as we all know, in November, on the years that we have school board elections, most people are interested in voting for governor or senator or president, whoever's at the top of the ballot. School board races are at the bottom, and so they're just buried at the bottom, and there's a high undervote because people don't work their way all the way through the ballot, believe it or not, and instead vote for what they're interested in. This way, in May, by being primarily the only thing on the ballot, people that are coming are informed voters. Because if you don't know there's a bond election when one's called, it's because you haven't been reading local papers, you haven't been seeing all the mail that will come in your mailbox either for or against the bond, and all the different presentations that will be done so that the public and our taxpayers can know what is in the bond and what they are voting for. And I think that is why I always support the May election for bonds, is because we have people coming out to vote who are informed and know exactly what they are voting for, whether or not they vote for or against. And then one other comment, and I said this in 2014 when I had the privilege of chairing the bond committee or the long range planning committee. And I commend Julie Heineman and her committee because I know they did a lot of work in a short period of time. But I believe that this bond will be successful and pass because we live in a community where people value education. Thank you.
All right. Thank all of you for your comments, and I think we're ready to vote on item 6E, calling for the bond election. And all those in favor, would you please raise your right hands? Thank you. May 4th it is. We'll now have our superintendent's briefing.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. Trustees, since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month. Black History Month is a celebration of achievements by African Americans and a time of recognizing the central roles and contributions of Black Americans to our country. Curriculum activities and cultural art programs will focus on the influence of Black history and its impact on the diversity of our nation and world. You can get insight into our district's history by learning about the early settlers of Independence Garden, currently known as the Carverdale community. We have a great video posted on our district website which tells their story and includes longtime community members sharing their memories. The Junior Achievement of Southeast Texas hosted JA Inspire February 4th through 6th at the Berry Center. JA Inspire is Houston's largest one-of-a-kind interactive experience that exposes all CFISD 8th grade students to the vast variety of local career opportunities. This job awareness fair enables students to interact with business representatives and see displays from hundreds of Southeast Texas companies. And one of the things that I always like to say about this event, it makes a high school education relevant. Young people see the value of taking more difficult courses as they enter high school, I think, after this event. The Richard E. Berry Center will serve as host of the Region 3 6A Boys Basketball Tournament, March 1st and 2nd, with the winner advancing to the UIL Basketball State Championships. For the fourth straight year, CFISD will host the UIL State Wrestling Tournament February 22nd and 23rd at the Berry Center. Just one more way that the Berry Center continues to give back to the Cy-Fair community. The 6th Annual Superintendent's Fun Run and Festival is scheduled for March 2nd from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Berry Center. Registration is now open. Proceeds from the event will help fund scholarships and teacher development grants through the Cyfair Educational Foundation. I'd like to remind the community that Monday, February 18th, President's Day, is a student holiday and a staff work day. Classes will resume Tuesday, February 19th. Thank you, Dr. Ogletree.
Thank you, and everyone who attended our meeting tonight. We are now adjourned.